trip it is.
Heart so big.
Hello, welcome to our podcast, Let's Review. My name is Richard Brito, and I'm the co-host for today's episode. In this podcast, we will review any and all types of media, including film, television, and live performances. From reality TV shows to blockbuster horror films, no genre is off limits.
Hey everyone, my name is Luke Reosti, and I'm also the co-host of this podcast. And in this episode, we're going to find out what we think of Disease, the official music video by Lady Gaga, and we're going to find out some notable fun facts and info behind the scenes. We also have a special guest for today's episode, Ernesto Medina. He was here last week too, so welcome back.
Happy to have
Hello,
you.
everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm happy to be back.
Super excited for a second episode for us to review and continue to bond over Lady Gaga. So
Well,
before
today
we
is like Gaga Christmas, so
Yeah. So
Mhm.
we are officially post, the start of Mayhem. The album's out. So there's some teasers coming up with SNL, the comical side of Gaga. I'm really excited to see that. There's also the Garden of Eden teaser that we keep getting with like that being declared like the anthem from like this, I think, racetrack thing. I'm not sure. The specifics. We'll have a fact checker.
Lady Gaga teased the song Garden of Eden in ESPN's first Formula One racing campaign of 2025.
But there's also other partnerships, which I think is really cool to do. But I do want to talk about a little bit of the track list. At first, I would assume that Disease, especially with, the conference that she had yesterday before the release, she mentioned how Die with a Smile was like the last one to be added to the album, but she started out first with it since it was so recent. But initially, Disease is the lead single, I think, essentially.
Sure. Yeah.
What do you guys think about that?
Well, right now I feel so fresh because now we have the entire album, and when you listen to it with the entire album, it just makes so much sense.
Yeah, and I'm still trying to like piece everything together. I still haven't like I feel like I have to hear the album like six more times so I could like really process everything. But in y'all's opinion, do you think that The Garden of Eden is gonna be like the next single
I
with
think
like a
it's like
music video?
I think it's like position for that. Yeah, I could see it.
I
Okay.
definitely think that Garden of Eden is going to be probably the next like what is it called, Richard?
Yeah, like the Billboard ranking.
Yes, the Billboard ranking. I definitely think it's going to be number one in terms of the rest of them. Not to say that that's my favorite. I just think that that's gonna. My prediction is that it will be the one that does the best commercially.
Yeah, I think it's a bop. I think it definitely could do very well in the radio. And yeah, I mean, those things are really hard to predict because it really depends on like what contracts they do and like you said, like they're doing like a thing with ESPN where it's like the anthem or whatever. So like things like that could give it a lot of traction. So yeah, I could totally see it becoming like the next big thing. But there's like two or three more in the album that I feel like could maybe compete against it.
Yeah,
No,
so
I agree.
I'm gonna say my favorites, like just like from first thoughts, I would say How
Um,
Bad Do You Want Me? The Beast. The Beast made me sob. Like I don't know why, like, but
the
it
the beat
really
makes me the beat makes me horny.
Oh,
What?
really?
It's like
That's
a sex
hilarious.
song.
What? I totally
Yeah,
processed it
listen to
totally
it again
differently.
now.
See
Listen
that
to
Well,
it
from
again
the
now.
that's interesting because I was watching that Zane Lowe interview, and he was like, "Oh, this is a revenge song." So I'm like, we have it as like a sex song, a revenge song. It's making Richard cry. I guess everyone
Yeah,
is just having a different reaction
I
to it.
mean I could totally see the revenge part of it, but it feels like a violent sex type of thing. I don't know.
from my perspective, the Beast, I thought she was talking to herself, like,
She
cause
also
it,
said that in the interview, so I love that we are seeing it from like the different
yeah,
angles.
yeah. Um, and then so Die with a Smile, The Beast, How Bad Do You Want Me? Perfect Celebrity, Abracadabra, and Disease. Like those are my go-tos right now. But as I
I love
dive
that
deeper, hmm
our go-tos have not really overlapped at all.
yeah,
I
yeah,
like all the other ones.
I
I
Go
saw
love
ahead.
that.
that you liked Shadow of a Man, Luke, and then I don't know
And
what
Zombie
else.
Boy.
Yeah, that one's really cool. I don't know why, but I got a lot of Michael Jackson like references in my opinion. I'm not sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
for
Shadow
Shadow
of
of
a
a
Man
Man.
is definitely a Michael Jackson inspired track for
Okay,
sure.
okay, I see it.
Yeah, well, I feel like it's like pretty explicitly a Michael Jackson track. I was listening to it and I was like, I was trying to think
Yeah,
it was a sample, but I think it's just the sound.
I think it's just a sound too, but I don't think it's just us making that up because like May last year when she put out the Chromatica movie, at the end of that movie is when she announced the comeback and she was saying that she would Gaga comes back or whatever.
Hmm.
And for that, at the very end of the movie, it's a snippet of Shadow of a Man, and she ends it with a Michael Jackson move. So it's like
Oh,
she she
like
gets
giving a
it, you
nod
know?
to it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought that was some like I was like, oh, I wonder if that was a reference to that, but
The,
you confirmed it for
uh-huh.
me.
Yep, yep, yep.
Okay. Well, I think that's a really good start for the intro. I think we're good to start on the next part.
I was having to keep myself from talking about all of the other songs on
Hmm.
Mayhem because I know we're going to be doing a Mayhem review.
Yeah.
So I initially really love this like modern day homes that are like kind of close together, but not too close together. So it's like kind of like well off. But
It's
right from
totally
the
Desperate Housewives. Have you seen
yeah,
Desperate Housewives?
yeah, a little bit, but not all of it.
Like it's pretty much giving Wisteria Lane.
So the fact that she got like run over,
When I saw this frame, I was like, okay, we're in for the ride.
yeah, this is super
We are
awesome.
Gaga.
Yeah, Scary
The
Gaga's back.
This is where we get introduced to like the character Mayhem, right? Which is like this scary
hmm
lady that's like looking from the back and has a cane and stuff that we then see again in Abracadabra.
this is like all her, and it's like different versions of her. So like her
Mm-hmm.
human self and like her demon self.
Right.
Um, I don't know if
Which
that's
is
like
this
her
kind of
the
has
addict side, maybe in a
yeah,
way.
it that's been a theme I feel throughout her entire discography. Like she always talks about like, the other, the beast inside of her or something like
Yeah,
that.
this makeup is gorgeous, and
This
like
is
this whole
insane.
like, it's like very sexual, but very like
See, I
abusive in a
feel
way,
I
torturous.
feel opposite. Like I feel like even though she's naked and not naked, but in underwear and kind of like writhing, it doesn't feel sexual to me. It feels like almost like like athletic to a degree.
I actually feel like it's like when you get to like the psych ward and they like restrain you and like
Yeah,
you're fighting against
definitely.
like I feel like that's what makes me feel. She's
Yeah, like
serving
what's
for
up with her
sure.
elbows? Like it looked like it was wounded or she had stuff on it.
And then Zombie Boy right here.
The zombie boy
Now we
playing in the
know.
back, which is crazy because the zombie boy like chorus that you hear here, it sounds nothing like the rest of the song in a way.
Which is nice because you get to adapt it for within
Yeah,
this
yeah,
verse of disease.
right.
And sometimes it could have been like an early adaptation and maybe she just changed it up before production, at
No,
post
it's just one
production.
of those songs where like the chorus is not necessarily like the sound of the song, which
Yeah.
it's fun. It's a surprise.
I showed this to my stepdad and he actually loved it. I was kind of worried he might not like the goth aspect of it, but no, he didn't say anything. He was into it.
No, Evie truly
He
understands
understands
the
art. He
artistry
knows
of
the
Gaga.
yeah, yeah.
This part is so nasty and disgusting and amazing.
Go ahead.
Suffering, like facing the suffering, facing like the pain. He could understand those concepts, even though it's all in English. He could understand the vibes, and I love that. I love the being able to express yourself through art and having that interpreted by like Spanish speakers.
Well, I would consider Gaga a visual artist just as much
Hmm.
as she's a musician.
Right.
And
Like
so
this
like
part, like the dancing and the walls
The
closing in, like
claustrophobia
that's crazy.
and I bet those are practical. Like I bet those walls are on
or
rigs
confined
to push
Hmm.
in.
spaces.
Yep.
That's scary. Like I would be scared if I was Gaga being in between those. My favorite part of the way that she creates these characters is seeing how she depicts herself in contrast to Mayhem
Yeah, that
because
one's
Hmm.
wild.
every other scene is like Gaga's version of like Stephanie. And so then there's Mayhem and then there's Gaga. And so you're kind of like seeing how she sees herself to a degree just as much as she sees like the character and the celebrity that she is like portraying. And I feel
Hmm.
like that has always changed, like in terms of how she has viewed herself. But there's always been like it's not that she like goes brunette to be like that's the old Stephanie every single time, but there is a degree of like she does put the blonde hair away. So I do think that that blonde hair, whenever she puts that on, it is like a fully different type of Gaga it is than when she puts the brown hair. And that's the power of wigs too.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You know what I
And
mean?
Yeah.
also when I tried looking for some behind the scenes for disease and I didn't really see much. But what I did find is that she had a breakdown, of like the song Disease with Rolling Stone about 2 months ago. And she says she's embracing like the exercising of like living in chaos, you know. But with the conference yesterday, I liked that she was very honest. She's very honest always, but she allows people into like her psyche and gives that honesty, and also like her physical like expressions is like very telling of her personality. Like for instance, I guess it's like psychoanalysis. Like so many people get to psychoanalyze her and like so publicly and so vulnerable. I really liked the whole conference thing. I thought that was nice.
Which is
And
yeah, which is a weird like position to be in, right? Because it's like
yeah,
you
anything could be
want to
asked.
own, like you want to own like what you made, right? And you want to be like confident on it and stuff, but you're also sharing it with the whole world, and
Hmm.
like no matter what you put out, like half of the people are gonna say yes, half of the people are gonna say no. So it's like a scary, like vulnerable position.
Yeah, yeah. I applaud her for that, honestly. I think it made it even more like personal, and because of that personability, uh I think it's gonna be even more impactful in the charts. I think people are gonna stream it way more. People could really understand like why like it's so nice to be a part of like that fan base, because it's like she was embracing all sorts of like personalities, all sorts of expressions of like character, and she's just an artist all around. And I like how the fans are like so supportive with like projects that she should pursue that are like also close to her heart. Like for the Tony, I thought that was like all super funny. So I guess we're talking about the Mayhem conference as like some sort of like behind the scenes and like what she was talking about with Rolling Stone. But aside from that, that's pretty much what we've gotten. I don't
But
know
they
if you
asked
guys,
good questions. When they
yeah,
asked her about like the EGOT, obviously it's like, haha, like, okay, it's about the art, so if she gets the EGOT, whatever. But I would like to know what kind of like play she would be in. Like she said, implied that she would want to write a part herself. But
I love that she said that she would just want to write one, because like when you're Lady Gaga, it will be really hard to like go into like a really famous like play, like what would you do, like Phantom of the Opera, you know what I mean? Like I feel like if she were to do something original, that would be insane.
it would have to be some sort of like, it would be interesting to see how she prepares for that. She also has this like very interesting dichotomy of being somebody who like pushes the boundary and does it her way and makes it very original, but also being like a student of the art in itself and like
Hmm.
studying the very specific like technique and history and references and everything. I really have I can't even fathom like where that intersection of making something classic but also bringing something brand new to Broadway would
Right.
even look like.
yeah. Something she noted in the conference, I call it conference. She said that when she starts off with her creative process with a song, she tends to see the full vision, and that to me, when she said that, like my little psychoanalysis of that is that my interpretation is like, for instance, she is so qualified in all these different realms of music and instruments, and just she could see everything. She could probably like interpret like what notes she would want, especially with like her instrument, like her vocal instrument. So when she said that she sees the full visual like creative process of the song, I thought that was so like telling of like her level of like expertise in the field. And it's just so inspiring, honestly. Like I wish like I could, see the full vision. Sometimes I get like ideas and I put them together and like I might have like a general consensus of where it's gonna go, but I don't have all the details at once. And I could see her being able to just like fully have like, a song done in 40 minutes from start to finish.
I agree. Yeah, I think that's the beauty of like when you have like a seasoned, matured artist already,
Hmm.
Like I feel like you just trust her to be able to like go in and like see her vision and like proceed with it and trust it and like execute it like to the tenth. Like I feel like, and we see that with everything she does. Even the Joker recently, that like obviously people like didn't feel like it was a great movie. If you like objectively look at her performance, it's insane. Like
Yeah.
everything she does at this point is like she probably just invests her entire self on it, and like all
Well,
that experience shows.
to be honest, the performance was not the issue. The music was not the issue. I think the writing was the
I think it
issue.
was just a boring movie. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
think it
another
was the
thing,
creative direct. I think it was
yeah,
the editing. I think I got
yeah,
lost in the edit because
yeah.
even Gaga and Joaquin were saying these kind of subtle things about like, oh, there were scenes that didn't make it, and I think that the way that I think the scenes that they chose not to include seemed, from what I heard in all of these interviews, kind of like passively, is some of the things that they were excited about. Because there was even some musical numbers with Gaga that she said herself weren't included because it felt a little out of place, even though it
yeah,
probably would have brought the movie, a little life halfway through.
Yeah, and I think the reason that like what they were trying to do with Joker 2 is also like redirect to like a different um audience, I guess, or expansion of the audience members because it was attracting the wrong energy, values that they didn't really stand for, like the
That's
actors or like the
true.
creative directors or
Because the first one, the
producers.
the message was co-opted by like kind
right.
of people who
Yeah,
wanted to justify their own kind of bigotry.
Hmm.
And
yeah,
so for them to be like, we're gonna hit people over the head with the message with this one, I think I am saying this all with love because I did love the movie. I was
Yeah.
entertained by the movie. I just am just recognizing that there was criticism of it. But I think objectively the music itself is probably some of her absolute best work.
The Harley Quinn really like I really resonated with that album. I thought it made the Joker movie so much more like valuable to my heart in the sense of like wanting to go back to that. If anything, I like the album way more than the movie. And after I saw the movie, I did feel like I wish like the energy from the album was carried over into the movie. And I feel like if Gaga had more creative control over the movie, it would
for
have
sure.
been
Yeah,
way better.
agreed, agreed. I think I heard somebody say something that like I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. I feel like the movie was kind of too dark for like the time we live in. Like people
Hmm.
don't need like darkness also outside of the reality, you know what I mean? Like you're
Hmm.
looking for escapism.
Exactly.
So that could have been also why it wasn't received as well. And my other issue with it was like, don't get me wrong, I love a musical, right? I have tons of movies that are musicals that I really enjoy. I don't think that this is the right movie for that. I don't think that mix and that direction that they took it in with the music and the Joker character, I don't think he like got to where they wanted.
I did like Joaquin Phoenix singing the Joker.
It ended on a tragedy. So I think if they would have maybe been a little bit more unhinged and continued the energy and not really like, but yet
Like,
again, that might instill violence and it was just what you're saying is right. It might be valid in the sense of wrong time. If it was earlier, maybe it would have done better.
Right.
All right, so thank you so much for joining us to review the music video, and we're going to keep this energy going for episode 3 as we cover the official music video of Abracadabra by Lady Gaga. So until next time, take care.
episode 2 was executive produced by Luke Reosti and Richard Brito. Accompanying music produced by The Survivalist, The Regents, Opticon Awakens cast, Morally Grey cast, and Soph. Edited by Luke Reosti. A big thank you and so much love to Lady Gaga. We love the album. Thank you so much for Mayhem. It's definitely worth the wait.
Oh, and
It was
a special
awesome.
thanks to Ernesto Medina. Thank you for joining us for episode 2. All
Thank you
right,
guys. This was fun as
bye.
always.
Yeah,
Bye.
take care.
Bye.